Hello, I'm Steve Weber, the host of Essential Book Drop. We're featuring our top 3 new releases that you can see and download at essentialbookdrop.com. Happy Saturday, everyone. It's October 18th, 2025. With me, as always, is my co-host and my bookworm sidekick, Cassandra. Good morning, Cass.
Good morning. Ready for today's picks? We've got, well, quite a mix.
We really do. 3 books that look worlds apart on the surface.
Yeah, but I think there's a really interesting through line, actually, about authenticity, legacy, maybe starting over.
That sounds like a good mission for our deep dive today, then, finding that common thread. We've got a beauty mogul, a hip-hop legend, and a TikTok star talking quarter-life crises.
Exactly. It's sort of about the gap, isn't it, between the image, the myth, maybe, and the actual lived reality.
And how resilience kind of bridges that divide.
It's almost like the ultimate life skill, I think, for anyone trying to build something real. So where do we start?
Let's kick off with that story of reinvention. It's Still Bobbi, a masterclass in resilience and reinvention. That's by Bobbi Brown. Genre is biographies and memoirs of women.
Right. This is like the definitive Bobbi Brown story. Focuses a lot on reinvention, yes, but also just staying true to yourself.
Okay, let's get into the early days first, because that kind of sets the scene, right? She's young, 25, moves to New York City.
Yeah, and she's hustling, really trying to break into fashion, which, back then was pretty much a closed shop.
It wasn't just about talent, was it? It sounds like it was sheer grit, just pushing against those gates.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is she breaks through not by fitting in, but by doing the opposite. You got to remember the early 90s.
Oh, yeah. Heavy makeup was the thing. Cover everything. Contour.
Totally transformative.
Yeah.
And Bobbi comes along with this no makeup idea. It wasn't just a product thing. It was like a whole philosophy, basically saying, hey, you look good as you are, which was revolutionary then.
That defines philosophy versus just selling makeup that feels key to her story.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you see hints of where that came from, like in her background. Her mom was glamorous but dealt with mental illness, and then her Aunt Alice was super practical, no nonsense.
So she kind of took that contrast, that tension, and built her brand around it.
I think so. It explains why it resonated so much. There's that quote from Charlamagne, that guy.
Yeah.
He says, she didn't just change how people wear makeup, she changed how they see themselves. And that hits it right on the head. It was about validation. Powerful stuff for a brand.
Okay, but then comes the twist, the peak success, and then the crash. This is important for entrepreneurs listening, I think.
Definitely. So she gets a Vogue cover after 8 years. Great start. By 37, she sells her brand, her name, basically to Estée Lauder.
Huge deal.
And spends the next, 22 years building it? Into $1 billion business.
$1 billion. You'd think, okay, she's set. Her legacy is cemented.
But that's not what happened.
No. And this is the really devastating part. At 59, after all that, she's pushed out. Just unceremoniously gone.
And the source really emphasizes how crushing that was. It wasn't just losing the company. She lost the right to use her own name professionally.
God, imagine that. Your name is the brand, and you can't even use it. That's like losing your identity.
Totally. So if you're listening and you've ever, faced a really painful exit or felt like something you built was just taken away or warped.
This story speaks to that. So what's the takeaway? How does she bounce back? What can we learn?
Well, the key insight seems to be that her resilience wasn't actually tied to the Bobbi Brown logo on the box,
Ah, okay.
It was tied to her core philosophy, staying real.
Yeah.
She had to realize the value was in her expertise, not the corporate structure she'd sold.
So the brand was one thing, but her brand was something else entirely.
Exactly. And her second act, which she's building now, it just shows you can start over, even when it feels like you've lost everything, even your own professional name.
The message being, your impact defines your legacy, not the legal contracts.
That's it. Your impact, your philosophy.
Okay, wow, that's a powerful lesson in resilience. And it actually leads us really nicely into the next source. From someone fighting to control her name and narrative.
Someone whose name and narrative kind of exploded almost immediately into this huge, unmanageable myth.
Right. It raises that question, doesn't it? What happens when the persona just gets too big for the person inside?
Which brings us to book number 2. Only God Can Judge Me. The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur. This one's by Jeff Pearlman in the rap and hip-hop musician biographies genre.
Tupac. I mean, probably the most mythologized figure in hip-hop, wouldn't you say? So many stories, so much projection since his death nearly 30 years ago.
For sure. He's been endlessly analyzed, but maybe still misunderstood in a lot of ways.
So why this biography? Why now? What makes this one the essential account?
Well, it really boils down to the just the sheer depth of the journalism. Perlman's a respected biographer, right?
Yeah, he's got a track record.
But the research here, it's staggering. We're talking nearly 700 original interviews.
700?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So this isn't just like rehashing old articles or documentaries. This is deep, meticulous work, trying to cut through all the noise, all the speculation.
Are you doing 700 interviews? That's not just collecting data. That fundamentally changes the kind of story you can tell, doesn't it?
It has to.
So how does the book use that access? What's it showing us that maybe we missed before?
I think it allows the book to hold all of Tupac's contradictions together,
Well,
without trying to smooth them out or pick a side.
right, because previous accounts often lean one way or the other. The poet, the activist, or the volatile death row superstar.
Exactly. They often emphasize one Tupac. But Perlman's research, getting inside death row, onto the sets of movies like Juice and Poetic Justice, it forces you to accept that all those Tupacs were real. They all existed, often at the same time.
So for someone reading this, you're not getting a simple hero story or a simple villain story. You're getting complexity, a study of someone under immense pressure.
Precisely. The aim seems to be a really clear-eyed look. You see the activism, which was deep, rooted in his family's history with the Black Panthers. You see the artistry, undeniable.
But you also see the other side.
Yeah. The ego, the danger, the violence that ultimately led to his death. The book shows you the man who could write something incredibly empathetic 1 minute.
And then be involved in something destructive the next.
Right. So when you hear people like Chuck D calling this the definitive historic account, it feels like they're recognizing that Perlman managed to capture that complexity, that nuance, without getting lost.
And what about the bigger picture? What does this tell us about the culture, the music scene he was at the center of?
Oh, it's absolutely a time capsule of West Coast hip-hop during its golden age. It really documents how the genre went from being, a niche thing
To completely transforming popular music.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly. Tupac was right at the heart of that shift, but the book shows the whole ecosystem, the whole environment, the art, the business, the violence, the spectacle. It all just converged.
So it's essential reading if you want to understand how huge cultural shifts actually happen, often driven by these really complex, maybe even self-destructive figures.
Yeah, figures who become legends, they can't even control themselves.
Okay. So we've gone from a mogul rebuilding her identity to an icon whose identity became a myth. Where do we go next?
Well, now we kind of bring it right back down to earth.
Yeah.
To something maybe incredibly relatable for a lot of people listening. We look at the anxiety of just trying to figure out who you were supposed to be.
The quarter-life crisis.
Yes, exactly. Which connects us perfectly to our final book. This one is, does anyone else feel this way? Essays on Conquering the Quarter-Life Crisis. It's by Eli Rallo. She's huge on TikTok. And the genre is men, women, and relationships, humor.
Okay, this feels like it taps right into that specific psychological whiplash of your mid-20s, right?
Totally.
You finish school, you hit your 20s, and you have this idea in your head, maybe like the Sex and the City version of adulthood.
Yes. The book talks about that expectation perfectly. You imagine the cool job, the amazing apartment, fabulous friends. You finally feel like a real adult.
But the reality,
As Eli writes about with real, raw honesty, is often totally different. Crippling social anxiety, massive career confusion.
oh, and the constant comparison trap, scrolling social media.
Ugh, yes. Comparing your messy behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's curated highlights, it's brutal.
And it sounds like she tackles some really common questions people grapple with in that phase.
She really does. Like practical stuff. How do you handle losing a best friend? Maybe because you just live in different cities now. How do you figure out what you even want to do when that childhood roadmap, college, job, marriage just disappears?
Yeah, that feeling of being technically functional but emotionally kind of paralyzed.
Exactly that. She nails that feeling.
And it sounds like she uses humor to deal with it.
Oh, yeah, lots of humor.
Yeah.
But it's mixed with real emotion. There's this one bit that just perfectly captures that feeling of wanting to retreat,
What's that?
She talks about missing the days when you could just swing by the dining hall for food or just call their mom to make it all go away. That longing for simplicity, for someone else to handle things.
Huh. Oh man, that's relatable. It's like you miss having that external structure, right? And suddenly it's all on you.
It's all internal scaffolding, yeah.
Oh.
So this book, I think, it just offers so much validation. It basically tells you, the listener, hey, if you're feeling lost or uncertain, you are definitely not the only one.
And that's comforting in itself, using humor and just being real to kind of dismantle that myth of the perfect, seamless transition to adulthood that, like you said, social media pushes so hard.
Absolutely.
You know, listening to all three of these, Bobbi Brown rebuilding after losing her name, Tupac's complex legacy, Eli Rallo navigating her 20s. It feels like they're all about defining yourself when the world wants to slap a label or a myth onto you.
That's a great way to put it. It really is that lifelong process, isn't it? Realizing that your most solid ground, your most resilient asset is your own core self, your philosophy.
Whether you're facing a billion-dollar corporate battle or just trying to pick a major without a syllabus.
Exactly. It comes down to that internal compass.
Well, this has been fascinating. Lots of insights across these three very different lives. Thanks for walking us through them.
My pleasure. It's interesting how they connect.
Definitely gives you a lot to think about. And maybe one final thought to leave our listeners with based on this journey. If legacy really is about your philosophy, not just external markers of success, what's the philosophical core you're building your next chapter on? Well, thanks for joining us today. And if you want to take a look at any of these books, visit us at essentialbookdrop.com and you'll have all the links right there. Cass will do it again tomorrow.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Until then, keep on opening new worlds with great new books. And whatever you do, remember this. When you read,
Your mind becomes its own kingdom.